But did the Vols upgrade their staff? I want to dig into that with John. We have William Inge, De'Rail Sims. Here's a couple of guys that replace, quite frankly, guys that I don't want to sound like I'm being mean to either one of these fellas.
That means you're being mean.
Yeah, and John Marie or Willie here, but I wasn't blown away by either one of them when I did my research, their exit research interview. What did you think about those two guys as a loss in and of themselves?
Dave, I really have no idea because assistant coaches, I just think it's really hard to discern who's a good coach. You can always, it's easy to evaluate offense. You can look at our defensive coordinators, you can look at stats, but these position coaches, I just don't know. I mean, you could, when they list coaches, okay, these are their recruits. That's one way, but that's recruiting. That doesn't tell you anything about coaching. I have no idea. And you can't always tell. I mean, if somebody's a really good running backs coach, I mean, seriously, if you're giving the ball to an elite running back, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, somebody like that, you can be a pretty good running backs coach. Handing the ball and point toward the goal line. That's pretty much it.
Run to the green. That's basically the coaching, running backs coach's best phrase. Run to the green.
Yeah, John, I honestly feel exactly the same way. I don't think there's any art to coaching running backs at all. I think they're usually typically just recruiters on the staff. Yeah. Although Philip Fulmer did name a running backs coach as David Cutcliffe's successor. Not to throw shots, but he did do that in 1999. But Randy Sanders was a running backs coach beforehand. The thing I wanted to get to with running backs and linebackers coaches, though, isn't it a little bit valuable that doesn't it speak to Heupel and the staff that they were so ready to replace these guys that, it was done within a week, wasn't really that hard of a move, and there was a lot more. I feel like these guys bring a lot more variety of experience to the positions. Does that count for anything, or am I just grasping at straws?
You're grasping at straws, but that could be true. I mean, I just, I do like which position is De'Rail coaching? Is he coaching the running backs?
Yeah, he's coaching running backs.
That's awesome because I think of headlines. Tennessee's running game derailed.
What about just railed?
No.
Wow, Dave.
Why do you have to be such a pessimist, John?
No,
it could be just railed.
No, that just doesn't work.
Dave, do you know what? Okay, never mind. You shouldn't. I don't know if Dave knows that you should be saying railed in a family friendly podcast.
My bad. I didn't think of it like that. I'm not like you. I have.
Well, I don't know. I mean, words now they're so bastardized. The languages. I don't know what kind of words you're going to come up with next.
Let's just say a hooker should not be talking about getting railed.
Yeah. You and Gary Danielson, the only two adult men I know that have used the word bastardized. But anyway, portions of the program brought to you by Don Self State Farm. Don Self Service still matters. Customer service, 40 years in experience. They built their business on and reputation on caring for their customers. Good in Collegedale and Ooltewah. DonSelf.net right below. DonSelf.net 423-396-2126. 423-396-2126. Caleb and I were discussing that the coaches you most want to not lose are, of course, Josh Heupel, right? And then I think you would go Tim Banks because I like how his defense complements Heupel's offense. And then I think you would go Garner. To me, those are the top three that you would not want to lose. What do you make of those three coaches as ones that Tennessee just can't lose, John?
Well, yeah, obviously Josh Heupel. Tim Banks, you're right about his defense does complement what Heupel does offensively. A lot of people don't think that's sufficient. So I don't know. Maybe Tennessee. I think Rodney Garner just because how long he's been doing this. And I think defensive line is an important position. He can coach that. He has a great track record as a recruiter. If you look at resume, I would go with Rodney Garner right behind Josh Heupel. I know he doesn't have the same impact maybe on game day as a coordinator might, but he's a really strong recruiter in his defense. He usually knows what a good, he can recognize talent at that position.
Caleb, and we probably sold Mike Eckler a little bit short. I think we do that with a guy who jumps around on the sidelines a lot. But that doesn't mean that he's not a great, ingenious, intuitive head coach as well. And he is one of Tennessee's best recruiters.
As far as a recruiter, you are right. But, I mean, we talked about this last week.
Yeah, it was the ingenious that got you, wasn't it?
Well, it's okay, you talk about coaching running backs. I feel the same about coaching edge rushers. Hey, run around the edge and go tackle the quarterback. I'm like, is there a lot of coaching when you're coaching edge rushers? Like, did Mike Eckler teach James Pierce how to go rush the quarterback? Or does James Pierce?
No, as a matter of fact, that's even, if you talk to some coaches, that's even easier than running backs because they don't even care if you put your hand on the ground or not. They don't care your pre-snap stance. Just go do it.
They don't have to be taught a swim move.
No, they don't have to be taught a swim move. I mean, the dudes from the edge can just go get it. That's what it's all about. Just go get it.
They come out of the blocks faster than anybody else. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Pretty much. Is Tennessee's staff better in mid to late February than it was before? Or do we really even know? John alluded to the fact everything is so incredibly covered up nowadays. It's hard to know what impact. I mean, do you remember, John, back in the day when we did features on all the assistant coaches that Lane Kiffin hired? So I knew who was recruiting where. I have a good idea, but I don't know intricately who's recruiting each young man.
No, how well read do you think those stories were?
I think they did quite well. Mine did. I don't know about that Drew guy. Mine did really well. Caleb, I mean, do we know, and we're going to bring this up later, but do we know how hurt Tennessee was, if at all, hurt in recruiting through 2 changeovers in less than a week?
Gun to my head, I think it was better. I think it's improved. I don't think there's much that matters with running backs, but William Inge is a very well. So I can't speak from going from Jerry Mack to De'Rail Sims. But William Inge, he has a really good track record as a defensive coach, and he has a lot of experience, and he has a specifically good track record coaching linebackers. And I think we all agree that the inside linebackers have not developed the way we felt like they should have the last couple of years. So I think that I think shot in the dark, that has to be an upgrade. And so just by that nature alone and by running backs coach not really mattering, I think it was an upgrade overall in the staff.
Yep. And are we going with Inge or Inge, just for the record? Inge? I think Inge's better.
I like Inge personally.
I like Inge because he drives through Compton and then he gets to Inglewood. So that's
Long Beach, Inglewood.
Yeah, see, there you go. What about that?
Wow, California love. Okay.
Hit that like and subscribe button.
John is probably a huge Tupac fan.
John loves Tupac. As a matter of fact, I watched. John, were you at the Super Bowl where they had Tupac? Not Tupac, he's dead. But they had Dr. Dre and they had Snoop Doggy Dogg. I watched that last night, by the way.
I could have been at that Super Bowl, but I don't remember them. I'm sure they did very well.
Your best Super Bowl act that you ever saw was Rolling Stones.
Michael Jackson.
He just stood there for like 3 minutes.
I know. I really was impressed by that. I mean, anybody would come out there with 50 million people watching and just stand there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and it's perfectly normal.
That was impressive.
Perfectly normal to take Emmanuel Lewis to an adult party as well.